Welcome to another edition of Your Impact Attack. That's right, it's Your Impact Attack. It's all yours, and we are here to deliver it straight into your veins. Who are we? This is the VBC together, as always, as we are every Monday night. And the V in the VBC is me. Hi, I'm the V. I'm the vet, Jamie Williams. Hello. Hello, everyone. And with me, as always, making the hot tag through the magic of the internet across the nation is Brandon, coming in here to clean house. Brandon, what's going on?
Not much, man. Let's just say super crazy ass weekend. I hope everybody was safe and had a fun weekend. And it's like we got a four horsemen in here, pal. Whoop whoop.
All right. Well, that's the C. We're talking about the chat. We got a four horsemen in here. Who do we have with us so far?
We got Lab Rat. We got Javi Uchiha. We got Liz. We got Frank's Pickle Barrel House. Frank's Pickle Barrel ass. Whoop whoop. Much love to y'all. Yeet yeet.
Yeah, that's like a definitely a four pillars, four heavenly kings, or three and one queen, whatever you want to say. Liz could be a king or a queen. She could do whatever she wants. She's Liz. But yeah, rare evening appearance from Frank live. So what's up, Frank, and and everybody, Javi, Labrat. All right, so so here we are. It's the Impact Attack, and normally we start off kicking around a little bit of the freshest news. That's the stuff that's hot in the streets right now. I was just as Gam shows up. Gam's just in time. What's up, Gam? I'm looking around and I'm not seeing anything, any newsworthy things.
I think there is something that kind of advanced in the Vince McMahon Janelle Grant case. Is that
what's that?
Let me go pull it up. Just so I get make sure I get this right.
Yeah, because from everything from starting with this morning had a special edition of Da Wreckage because of unsafe holiday weekend practices, and going straight into the Monday locker room directly after that. Even if there was news today, I feel like it's already been gone through, but even glancing and perusing, I didn't see much stuff. So let's see, what do we have here?
All right, so the headline from Figure 4 Weekly Online is Janelle Grant's bill of discovery against Corlon Colker and Peak Wellness. Let's go into the article. Some of Janelle Grant's discovery filings are moving forward. In a ruling announced on Monday, Judge Colleen Zingaro of the Connecticut Superior Court ruled in favor of Janelle Grant's bill of discovery against Dr. Carlon Colker and Peak Wellness, ordering both the plaintiff and defendants to submit scheduling order proposals. Grant's attorneys originally filed a pre-action discovery petition against Colker and Peak Wellness last year, seeking medical records related to Grant's treatment in the clinic. Last month, Janelle Grant's team requested documents from Vince McMahon and WWE, including board materials, NDA drafts, and documents reviewed by federal investigators. Included in those requests were communications between Colker and Vince McMahon. This led to WWE and McMahon filing an appeal to prevent discovery being granted. In her lawsuit, Grant accused the defendants of facilitating her abuse by administering unapproved treatments and substances, in turn enabling Vince McMahon's control over her. The lawsuit has claimed that Peak Wellness has failed to provide complete documentation regarding her treatment. Back in May, Colker responded by countersuing Grant's attorney, Ann Callis, and the Holland law firm, accusing them of defamation, asserting that all medical records have been provided. Colker is seeking punitive damages. So basically what they're saying is the courts are saying, no, you're going to turn over all that data for discovery.
Yes. And why wouldn't you want to?
Right.
Because as they've said many times, they're innocent of everything, and this woman is crazy and lying. So certainly you wouldn't need to file appeal. You would have nothing to hide. You would certainly be able to provide all the necessary records and information that is being asked for, because again, you're innocent. You haven't done anything wrong. You're just following normal procedures and everything, and now you're being slandered by this crazy person. So what would there be, why would anybody object to
Yeah,
providing the evidence?
right. If you're innocent, why do you have such a problem with providing the evidence to prove that?
Yeah. So once again, even though this is a technically this is a, you know, a development, I guess we could say, but I don't think it's anything that certainly either of us would have thought is surprising because of the overwhelming, you know, let's say evidence in the court of public, you know, opinion of how you just look at the same thing I say every time we talk about this. Just look at the actions. Look at the actions of the parties. You know, this is somebody that's trying to, you know, on the one hand, Vince and everybody, they're trying to avoid everything everywhere possible while saying they're claiming they're innocent on the one hand, but on the other hand, they're doing everything to be like, let's just make this go away. Let's just make this go away. Let's just make this go away. In the meantime, on the other side, if you're the Janelle Grant team and all you are is just, if you're a crazy liar and you're just after a bunch of money, then why aren't you taking the arbitration? Why aren't you taking the money? Why do you keep pursuing the criminal activities or whatever? And even though it's a civil trial, but in the civil trial, criminal activities can come out and there can be a bunch of charges that spring up from that. So you just look at the behaviors and that could tell you everything you need to know.
All I know is if I know if I'm innocent, and again, this is just me speaking, I would be over the top like, yeah, I will give you all you want my evidence here. I'll give you that and more.
Mm-hmm.
If for nothing else, just to stick it up your ass and to show you that you're wrong.
Yeah. And all this struggling and all this fighting and all this lying and all this other stuff, just so that, you know, you're going to end up doing what you do and you're going to end up paying what you pay. And it's going to, you know, nothing's going to happen to you. There will be no jail time. There will be no, you know, there will be no real reckoning. There will be no real punishment because obviously people like the worst people in the world get to do whatever they want and they never get punished for it. So it's not like it's going to matter. I don't even know why all the struggle. Like, if she's not going to settle, then just, yeah. If she's not going to settle, just go to court, take your L and move on. You know, there's no point in, you know, prolonging it any further because you already know it's nothing's going to happen. You know, people aren't even, there's people that are they still don't even care. There's people that don't even care about any of this and are just saying that they miss Vince McMahon because they don't like Triple H's booking right now. But what? So anyway.
Yeah, I would take bad booking or worse booking or a worse TV show over a safer, you know, I would take a safer working environment over a more worse produced show.
Yeah. So, you know, there's that. I don't know if there's really not that much other news. I can't think of anything else. There's been some talk around the ticket sales of Evolution, you know, the women's pay-per-view coming up, and also like how, you know, it doesn't compare favorably to even say Saturday night's main event in the same building. But I just have to wonder, like, well, at the prices that the WWE is running these things, and if they're running these things all in the same venue at the same basic time, like, you're basically forcing people to choose. And why would it is like the whole thing I was saying was like, I would like them to, with the new Evolution pay-per-view compared to the old one, I would like them to give it a fair chance. And at least put on a good presentation. I'm fairly confident they'll put on a good presentation, but it still seems like the actual booking of the event itself is like not the booking of like storylines, but the booking of like the building and the timing and all that stuff. It seems like it's still a little bit, suspect. So, but apparently they sold around 6,000. But like that's actually pretty good for an event that supposedly nobody cares about. Selling 6,000 tickets for the event, that it probably wouldn't be too much more than that, even if it wasn't kind of like crammed into a busy weekend. I wouldn't expect them to sell any more than like 8 or 9 for an all women's pay-per-view. But I don't know. What do you think, Brandon?
I mean, to be fair, selling $6,000 for it's kind of a throwaway on a weekend, they're just trying to dilute the market. That's actually, I consider that an accomplishment, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't think people are, it's the big deal that people are making it out to be. Um, but, I also, I also think that, they could have done a better job with that. I mean, they always want to like hedge their bets, it seems, Now the original Evolution was under the Vince regime. And I don't remember if you watched it, but anybody who remembers watching it knows that it definitely looked like a lesser than effort. Because if you ever watched any of like the WWE like premium house shows that they would do around that time, like I remember one time they did like a Starcade, but it was just a house show, and it always just looks like, yeah, they definitely don't have the full production team, working here. They have just the bare minimum just so they can film it and put it up. But it doesn't look like a Raw. It doesn't look like a SmackDown. It certainly doesn't look like a premium live event. It just looks like a premium live event. It looks like a, mediocre live event.
Going back to In Your House, pal.
Yes, it looked like it In Your House from the 90s. But now, it's like they were using standard def tech from the 90s to shoot their stuff now. And so Evolution definitely felt like a lesser than effort. And I've been saying that all I want them to do is just make it look like a premium effort, just with the lighting, with the setup, with everything, just make it look expensive, and I'd like to see them do that. But as far as the actual surrounding sort of creative and, the venue timing and all this other stuff, it still seems like they just want to make an excuse, a built-in excuse for why it might not be a success. So, I mean, you can't, how do I say this? You're never going to be a success with a half-ass promotional effort. I feel like if people don't know that you have a product, how are they supposed to be interested in it, let alone find it? For example, Disney and Pixar, right? They usually don't have any problems making money at the box office, right? So this new movie, Elio, comes out, and I guess it's not performing up to expectations of a Disney Pixar movie, right? Have you heard of this movie?
I've heard of it, and I've heard the stories of how it's like, it's like the underperformance of it is kind of having a little bit of a panic.
Did you hear about the movie before you heard it was underperforming?
Like, I might have caught like a trailer here or there, but other than that, nothing.
Does that sound normal? I mean,
No.
I'm pretty sure that that's a direct one-to-one reason. I didn't hear about this damn movie. There's no promotion for this movie. Usually Disney plasters their stuff all over everything at the grocery store, from food to toys to t-shirts and everything, and they get you ready for this movie that's about to come out. They didn't do no promotion for this damn movie, and then they wonder why nobody's going to watch it. Is it bad? I'm sure it's not bad. It's not because it's bad that people aren't going to see it. I'm sure it's just because nobody heard of it. And it's the same thing with anything. Like, if you don't tell people about it, they're not going to, they're not going to rush and drop everything to go see it because they're not going to feel like it was important. So, I mean, that's basically where we're at with the Evolution in my view. If it's only sold as many tickets as it sold, then that's because, you're not getting people as excited for it, or you're putting up roadblocks in the form of competing events under your own umbrella to go along with it. So,
Yeah,
I don't know. It's weird.
between like the main roster and the AAA brand, they're building to 3 pay-per-views on one weekend.
Which is not the first time that's happened. They've been doing this a bit lately. We recently had the Worlds Collide, and that was like on the same day as Money in the Bank or whatever.
Oh, they had an angle in Worlds Collide that led to a match at Money in the Bank.
Yeah, with our good buddy Octagon. You remember Octagon, the guy that unceremoniously just got his ass kicked on TNA because they didn't give a shit about him, and then they were trying to half-ass push him here.
Aztec Warriors.
Yeah. I don't think I want this guy to have my back in a war. Get his ass kicked by a random TNA group and then lose to Dominic Mysterio in under 10 minutes. But anyway, I'm trying to, make a meal out of a morsel here because we don't have any, we don't have anything, and we don't even have a Chris Winland question. My goodness, like, how are we supposed to carry the front half of this show if we don't have news or a Chris Winland question? So, but I mean, that being said, if anybody else has any topics they like to talk about, or if Brandon, if there was anything else you noticed over the past week or anything, then now would be the time. But if not, I mean, I'm afraid we're just going to have to talk about Impact, which, oh boy.
I will say there was one major thing that stood out in this show that I thought was fantastic, which I think you probably agree with.
Okay.
Well, we'll see when we get there.
Okay. Labrat is asking a question. That's good. See, now Labrat, we were testing questions on Labrat and he came through. Here he is. Says, do you think showing TNA on YouTube for free was a TNA or WWE idea? So I'm not too sure about this, the logistics of this. Where, has this been going on, or is this going to be ongoing, or was this like a one-time thing, or what was this?
It's happened the last 2 weeks. It was this week and last week. And it looks like this coming Thursday will be on YouTube as well.
I'm going to have to check that out because my gimmick websites have been doing weird things. Like, for example, when I was watching this episode, it was like there was some audio problems where it sounded like there was some sort of an echo during the audio in the later portion of the show. Like, especially around the Frankie Kazarian segment. And it also would like hang up and buffer infinitely right when Frankie was trying to introduce Trick Williams for some reason. And I was like, why? But so I may have to just start looking at the YouTube version. Is it only streamed live, or do they keep it up after it's over? Do you know?
Off the top of my head, I can't answer that. But one thing I can say, though, is that when they air it on YouTube, it looks like they're just using the feed from their streaming service.
Okay. That may be the way to watch. I think, well, as far as whose idea it was, I don't know. It could be either. I could definitely see that with WWE's success with YouTube, they could encourage TNA's like, look, whatever you're doing, fuck it. Just do this. Because YouTube is the most, let's face it, YouTube is the most popular platform in the world right now, right? Like I don't think there's a close second, right? This is the place to go if you want to be seen. Everybody just immediately, YouTube has become a verb. When something becomes a verb, that's when you know that it's over, right? Say, oh, just YouTube it, right? Like that's.
Or yeah, or I hear this picture. This picture's clearly photoshopped.
Yeah, exactly, right. So Yeah, if you want to get seen, go on YouTube and you can get your stuff monetized, right? Like it's not going to make enough money. Like TNA can't make enough money on YouTube, not with their fan base. It's not like you're going to be able to pay the roster with this money, but it's definitely a way to get seen. Um, because uh, that's their biggest problem right now is visibility. You could say what you want about what's actually on the programs, and we definitely do, but more than that, you need to get it in people's eyeballs to be able to see it. And YouTube is a way to do that anybody and everybody can do at this point, basically. Whereas Access TV just don't. I'm sorry, that's just not it. I can't even. I have the largest cable provider in the world, and I could not get Access TV on it. So, whatever.
Also helps with the fact too, the same company that owns TNA owns Anthem, so it's like, fuck it, we don't need to use Anthem, we can just send it here.
Mm-hmm. So it could be either one's idea, but like the fact that TNA has existed all this time and they've only done this, like, I know they would offer some of their like pay-per-views on YouTube in the past. Um, for like a subscription price. So, it's not like they've never dabbled with YouTube before. But why they wouldn't have already been doing this for a while, I can only assume that this is just a decision that was maybe discussed and jointly made. Like, hey, let's just do this. You guys need to do this. Whatever it is. But we'll see. We'll see going forward if that helps. I'm sure that the WWE thinks that with stuff like the Trick NA angle and everything is giving TNA a shot in the arm. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. At times, NXT's been struggling a little bit on the CW. They're pulling similar numbers on the CW to what AEW pulls on Dynamite on Wednesdays on TBS. Cold Blooded wants to know, how can I miss the hit show Nothing But Trailers only on Access TV? Well, it's very easy. I just exist and I completely miss it. That's how. But yep. I don't know if that's a satisfactory answer, but that's all we got. But yes, I recommend everybody be on YouTube. Just like we're live here right now on YouTube.
YouTube.
So with that being said, if there's nothing else, then I suppose we can get right to the I already mentioned last week. I think last week I mentioned that the update on the Moose action figure front, right? I did mention that. I said that supposedly they will be shipping this fall, so we still have a little bit of time before we can do our unboxing. So please look forward to that. And yeah. Well, should we dig into this episode of Impact?
Yep, give me Artifact and Doug Hole, pal.
No problem. I'm starting to, this, we're not too far off, with Hometown Man and everything, but before anything, we have the ketchup packet.
This week is taco sauce.
Oh, it's taco sauce. Okay, well. Yeah, well, much like TNA, it's like, they're just like, fuck it. So are we. But I wanted to actually, I just thought of something with oh yes. Did you happen to hear, I knew you would appreciate this. But when you were doing the watch along, did you happen to hear on NXT when Vic Joseph and Corey Graves, like Vic Joseph was like, he could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves. And Corey Graves was like, ketchup popsicle?
Man, I think I might have missed that chatting with the chat, but damn, I wish I would have caught that. I wish I would have caught that. That's how
Yeah,
you know those dudes are. That's yeah.
I don't blame you for missing it. But part of the gimmick on the Next Level Wrestling review, as I was telling Ray, is that because of unique circumstances on Tuesday night or Wednesday morning rather, I sort of had to treat the first portion of NXT as if it were radio. So I wasn't really being able to watch it. So I just had my phone at work while I was working, and I just was listening to the show and letting the announcers do their job, as I like to say, and paint the picture for me. And so I was able to hear things that I normally, much like this episode we're about to talk about here, I will normally not listen to anything that the announcers say because I have to multitask or whatever. So I very rarely catch some of the things that they're saying. But having to listen to the announcers, I was able to catch that hidden Tommy Boy gem. And I was like, oh, if anybody thinks this is funny, it's going to be Brandon. But,
Dude, I wish I would have caught it, but yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I don't know if they talk. It doesn't seem like that was funny enough, even though it's funny. But it doesn't seem like it was funny enough that they would need to talk about that and set that up. So it must have just been Corey Graves just being on it and knowing the Tommy Boy reference and going to it. I would have to guess. But anyway, that's just a little bonus. So we're going to start off the night with Indy Hartwell making an entrance. She's going to come down and she's going to do commentary for this interesting tag team match where we have the Inspiration versus Tessa Blanchard and Victoria Crawford. It's interesting. And we see a digital exclusive where at some sort of autograph signing somewhere, the Elegance brand comes in and tries to crash the Inspiration's autographs signing, and they're getting like hauled away by security. So that's time number 1 that we're going to see that is on this digital exclusive. We're going to see security doing a pull apart here.
Guards, more guards.
Yes, we need to have the more guards drinking game for tonight. Take a shot every time security tries to pull somebody off. But now Elegance, nothing punitive, I guess, happened to them because they're actually just backstage watching this match on the monitors right now, currently. And, the match sort of ends when Tessa gets hung up in a shoving match with Indy Hartwell at the desk, and they're sort of going at it, and she leaves Victoria out to dry. Victoria gets the Idolizer from the Inspiration, and she's down for the count. Meanwhile, the angle is outside. Security comes out to pull these two women apart. And then Indy grabs a microphone and declares that at Slammiversary, it's going to be Indy Hartwell versus Tessa Blanchard. So I don't know if she knew this prior and she was letting Tessa know for the first time, or if she's just booking her own angle and going into business for herself on one of TNA's biggest shows. But either way, supposedly that's what's happening. We couldn't get any confirmation because Santino wasn't on this show. So I don't know. But I guess we'll see at Slammiversary time, right? So what did you think of, the match? I'm sure you'll say it was fine, but what about this angle here? What about this setup? Is this a match you're excited to see?
Not really, but I will say they've at least done a decent job keeping both women strong. So we're like, you really don't know the outcome of this.
True. Yeah, now this was, again, if our biggest thing, or at least my biggest thing for sure, I don't want to speak for you, but I would hope you would agree that the biggest thing with all these securities and pull aparts is the consistency. If you're going to do it, I've been saying for years now, if you're going to do it, you have to do it every time. And if you do it every time, you're going to see how many times you do it, and you're going to realize how ridiculous it is, and then you're going to stop writing pull aparts into your show. or angles where there would be a pull apart. Like anytime somebody's like in the ring taking a beating for a horrendous length of time, and no security shows up, that makes it seem a little strange when security shows up for two women lightly shoving and talking trash to each other. So you got to be consistent here.
Yep. And use your pull aparts wisely.
Right. But this may be one of those shows where even though they didn't do it every time, they did it so many times that it's still very noticeable and repetitive. It just makes it seem like, you work in the Wild West. So.
Okay, Wild West.
Yeah. Jim West, Desperado, Rough Rider. No, you don't want nada. Order 4 is going to come out. They are going to, Tasha is going to call for Best Friends, Cedric the Alexander, and Ali the Mustafa to come out and settle things. And, let's just stop being children and shake hands or whatever she wants. I don't know. So they come out with their music, and Ali comes out with his own extra secret service. And they get in the ring and they have a face-to-face, and then Cedric does this thing that he's done for a while, which if you've seen it, whether it's on NXT or any other places that he works, he just starts screaming into the microphone and his voice cracks. But he's basically sitting here and he's putting over their wrestling matches. So like a mark, like this promo is written in terms of like, we were tearing it down in the Cruiserweight Classic and all this. It's like, what do you mean tearing it down? Yeah. So that's his point. He's like, hey man, we're friends and we should love what we did for this business. And Ali's like, I don't care about any of that. Like I'm just here to fight or something. And then, he's like, I want to fight at Slammiversary. And then they get into a schmaz. And then, of course, the Secret Service gets involved so that they can take all these bumps. And so yeah, even to the point of like the great hands hitting their finish on some poor Secret Service guy. And so like right off the bat, we've got like two schmazes, back to back. I guess that's cool. What'd you think?
Yeah, I would have separated them from, each other, but it is what it is.
You would have done a pull apart on the pull aparts?
Yeah, a little pull. Yeah. We need more guards to pull those apart.
Yeah. It's an Inception type deal, Guards and guards and guards.
Remember
you can always use more guards. It definitely, I'm sure that security was busy still trying to restrain Indy and Tessa backstage, and that's why they couldn't come out here. But they also may have figured, oh, well, Secret Service has got this. Like, they'll be able to handle it. It's like 8 guys. They were not able to handle it. So, yeah. All right. Here we go. This match was actually a match that was built to. We get a package for it, and then we get the chain match with Killer Kelly versus Masha Slamovich. Brandon, your thoughts on this chain match?
The first thing that came to mind was as soon as we saw the chain, like, that's a weak ass chain. Over under if that breaks in this match.
Yes. It is a very... What do you use this chain for? Is this just like a normal dog leash?
That looks like something I would use multiple chains of those to tie down a trailer or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also, you don't want to get too big of a chain, but there's got to be a middle ground somewhere, for these chains here.
Yeah, I wouldn't feel safe hauling a boat with that chain.
No. This is so it's basically just like a long thing that, you would have tied up your bicycle with at Kmart back in the day. Like when you're a kid and you're going in to get like a icy or something. That's what it is. But let's just, you know, that aside, let's pretend that it was a decent looking chain and that they didn't just have to work with what they had there. I'm sure nowhere in the city of Pittsburgh can you find a chain. So it's probably just doing their best, right? Um, but yeah. So any other thoughts?
I will say they at least did their. I thought they did a decent enough job of doing like creative and different spots. Like, okay, we know we can't bleed in here, so let's at least use the chain and do different stuff. Like do wraparound spots, do like pulley spots, tug of war spots, and use
Mhm.
the ring with that as well.
Yeah, there's one thing about this match that I appreciated. It's that I didn't see them doing a bunch of crazy spots.
No, it was all stuff that like made sense in the context of you trying to win the match, and hurt your opponent.
Yes. I mean, they were brawling around, but they didn't like take a bunch of bumps, really. Not that they didn't bump, and just saying like normally when you see like some match has no rules, like if it's got, usually if it's got Sammy Callahan, you're going to see them not only take a bump that's not advised to take, but then like the way they get into it kind of makes no sense. It's like it would never happen unless you were in a pro wrestling match setting up a fake bump. You know what I mean? Like you would have to set up some elaborate furniture, you'd have to do a bunch of cooperation. Like it just wouldn't make sense outside of the context of pro wrestling. Whereas I don't know, I don't know who else to credit other than Masha Slamovich, because I see these type of matches on TNA, but the only ones I see that ever make sense are the ones she's in. So by process of elimination, I just kind of have to give credit to Masha for these things because she seems to always be surrounded by stuff that makes sense. So I guess I'm just going to have to blame her for making sense. Um, One of the things I liked about the match was the way that, like, I liked when Kelly took the chain and she was swinging. Like, she was swinging for the fences at Masha, and Masha was getting out of the way, which is the same thing I always talk about. Like, don't just do a phony spot where, you hit them and it looks like shit. Look like you're trying to kill them and miss so that you put it in the crowd's mind that, oh, damn, if she nailed her with that, it would have been over, right? You're
Was it Ben always says the threat of violence is just as important as the violence itself?
right. That's his Rip Rogers, which is the same place I get it from. It's like, it seems like it should be common sense. Rip was just telling us common sense. He was explaining psychology to us and the reason why things are done the way they're done, or the best way to the maximum efficiency of things. Taking a chain, doubling it up and swinging it and hitting the ring post is easy, and it tells the whole story right there. If Masha didn't move, match over.
Yep. And here's the best part: no one takes a bump, no one gets hurt, but it tells a story and elicits a reaction.
Yeah. So I like that they did that, and I also like that the finish of the match was, it wasn't just some, phony pro wrestling crap. It was like Masha wrapped the thing around her neck and choked her with it, and she gave up. It wasn't even like a fancy, like, elaborate submission with a chain or whatever. It was just, she just wrapped it around her throat, choked her, put a knee in her back. It looked like it was like off balance. It looked like it was improvised. It looked like it was just like,
I caught you in the moment and did it here.
yeah, two people having a struggle in a street fight and doing whatever it took. And Kelly tapped out. So, I was very proud of both the women in this. And you guys know I don't like these type of matches. So if I'm liking this type of match, then I gotta, I'm putting them over for being unspectacular, because that's what this required.
This was a very well worked match, and both women did a fantastic job.
Yeah. So after this gritty and real chain match that these two women have, even without blood, then it turns into
without blood.
No blood. You could have just imagined the blood. Just pretend they were bleeding. But so after that, then it turns into pro wrestling again because here comes Fatal Influence, and they beat the hell out of Masha Slamovich, and then the Zayas come out and they run away, and Reptilian Britt Baker does the belt hold from the aisle, the deadly belt hold. So no security this time, but we did get a run-in save from current Zaya and former Zaya. So there you go. Let's see here now. Okay, so last week, as we all remember, because it's our favorite thing, Eric Young got ejected from the match that he was at ringside for, the Hardys and the Armory. And so he gets ejected. So now here this week we get to see the aftermath of that direct the direct aftermath of that. So as he's being escorted out of the building, he walks past Hometown Man, and he's complaining because he's like, "This is just Cody Deaner," and then he's like, "No, I'm Hometown Man." So that happened. Now he's now we're back to present day. Now Eric's with the Armory, and he's berating them for screwing up and losing and being losers and everything, and they're just like, "We're gonna prove ourselves. Watch us.
Watch me."
Yeah. So a couple of regular Liv Morgans here. They're about as big as Liv Morgan too. I would say. Each of these guys.
Although I will say, though, I do have a personal story when it comes to that phrase, "watch me." This goes back to like World of Warcraft, like 09-ish, maybe earlier. I don't know. Where I actually I'm like, they're like, "You got this?" I'm like, "Watch me." And I fuck everything up.
You Leroy Jenkins? You did a Leroy Jenkins.
Unintentionally, but that's what it turned into.
I see. Well, I'm sure he didn't intend to fuck everything up either, but at least he had a very memorable call to battle.
And at least he had chicken.
That's right. So, all right. Now it's time for everybody's favorite spot in the show, the gimmick injury report. Who's hurt this time? And you know what? They've even taken the fun out of this, because it wasn't even anything to make fun of this time. It was relatively straightforward. Number one, Trey Miguel supposedly has got a hernia, which is crazy, and he's out. Zaya Brookside has got a knee injury, and she is day to day. And AJ Francis has head and back injuries from his match, but he is cleared. Unfortunately, he's cleared for whatever, because he's not on this episode. But, yeah. Nothing even really. I like shitting on the injury report. This was just too boring, so that's sad.
Dude, I'm still laughing about like them reporting bruising or external bruises as injuries. Like, come on,
cleared. Just don't tell me. Just don't tell me then. All right, Mike Santana does a promo on the stairs. Do you remember what he said?
Not all I much remember is wearing "I'm Your Poppy" t-shirt, though.
Yeah. Well, neither do I. All right, now we have it's Fat versus Matt. It's Fat Eddie versus Matt Cardona here. It kind of doesn't matter. Like, the match they have doesn't matter. We saw this built up to last week, even though we made fun of that because we started out with Eddie saying, "Find a partner because nobody likes you and we'll have a tag match." And then all of a sudden it just comes down to a singles match and, whatever. So great build. Now Eddie, in this match, Like, it doesn't even go that long, but he's already going to go get his ring, his system ring that he's going to punch Matt in the face with. And Myers does the jump up and it's like, hey, man, come on, don't hit him with the ring. And Eddie's like, man, shut up. And then he turns around and Cardona scoops his legs out from under him, flips over with the jackknife pin and pins Fat Eddie. And then during the confusion, here comes, out of nowhere,
Dark State.
Dark State. So
which they teased on NXT earlier that week.
Yeah, and they come in and basket bomb Matt Cardona. So is Matt Cardona going to show up on NXT?
I don't know if it's going to be on NXT or this week's TNA. I know they're doing something to forward that. I remember reading something.
Well, Dark State works at NXT, so even though they're a terrorist cell, they're still employed and working at NXT. So Matt Cardona, if he wants to get his hands on him and he doesn't want to wait, since all of this stuff has been pre-taped, he's going to have to go. He's going to have to make an appearance. And then they could say, you know, what's Matt Cardona doing here in the Performance Center? So
when is that? When do we re-sign Zack Ryder?
Yeah, exactly, Zack Ryder. Yeah. So anyway, they attack Cardona, basket bomb him, and then of course they play Dark State's music because this was not taking anybody in the truck by surprise. Nobody was surprised. Everybody was ready. They had their finger on the button. They knew Dark State was going to show up and attack this guy out of nowhere. So they had the music ready and they played the music. Dark State's music.
And all you needed to do was just establish them as hackers. Just have one of them get their phone out. Just don't even hit them. Just press the phone and then their music hits.
I wouldn't even do that. I wouldn't think they would care. They don't seem like the type to care. So anyway, we'll see more on that later. And by later, I mean not on this show because we're done with that. So, during the break,
Sami
apparently
Callihan behind Dark State.
Yes, right. Well, I'll tell you what he's behind right now. He's behind a lifeless hometown man calling for help. This is all during the break, I guess, allegedly. Then we get a profile on Leon Slater. So
This was the thing I was talking about that I think you and I both agree with was the best thing on the show.
It might be the best thing on the show. Well, no, I probably like the chain match better. But the reason I say that is not because of anything they did here, where they're basically telling his whole life story. But we already know this because they did this when he debuted. They had to tell us who Leon Slater was, so they already did one of these. So now you're just repeating yourself. That's the only thing I have issue with. There's nothing wrong with the way they did this, but it's redundant. So there you go.
You know, things I don't remember getting this deep with his personal life and showing footage of him and his mom and his sister.
Yeah, I don't think they did that before. But it was pretty close.
But yeah, like that instantly made as soon as I saw that, the first thing I thought of, Leon Slater's going over. He's going over Moose. Unless, yeah.
Yes. Well, he definitely went over Moose on this episode because there was no Moose and he got a big package, so yeah. So all right. Well, now we have Mance Warner versus Jake something.
Nothing more than a vehicle to get to the obvious three-way on a show we're already having one major singles title in the three-way.
Yep. Well, Burt Macklin's out there and he catches a stray and then he attacks both guys and that causes a DQ and we get, that's right, take a drink. As James would say on the Stevie Richards show, take a drink. Another pull apart. Cinnabon pull apart. Delicious.
I would say the Papa
Yep.
John's pull aparts are pretty good though.
Are they?
Oh yeah, like I'll actually order them with. I used to take them home a couple years ago with none of the icing on it and just eat it with a fork. Oh, so good.
No icing.
I can't do the icing. I'm sorry. Way too much sugar in it when there's already enough sugar with the cinnamon inside of it.
There's no such thing as too much sugar. No such thing. Even if you're diabetic, it's your time. Just go peacefully. Eat the sugar. I think I'm just I'm maybe just outside the delivery radius of the nearest Papa John's. So,
Oof.
yeah, and I'm not going to travel. I'm definitely not traveling for Papa John's. So, yeah, I'll just have to imagine this pull apart that you speak of. Yeah, just ask Fat Eddie about sugar, Lab Rat says. I'm sure Lab Rat's been tested, they've tested sugar on him many times. He probably knows every brand of sugar just by one simple grain. Okay, so we come back from break and the pull apart continues. And at first they were just pulling apart Bert and Jake in the ringside, and Mance Warner and Steph were kind of going up the ramp like, hey, I ain't getting none of this on us. And but then when we come back from break, now all three of them are getting pulled apart. So apparently they caught up to Mance in the back. The whole mob of human bodies caught up to Mance. Yeah. Now, the next match is going to be, well, it was supposed to be Trey Miguel versus Trey Miguel versus Dolph Ziggler. However, as we know, a hernia for Trey Miguel is going to have him sit out of this. So Zach is subbing for Trey in the match and subbing for Trey or Zach at ringside is going to be Myron Reed. So
hey, at least we're keeping it consistent.
Yeah. So here comes Myron Reed. He's in the corner.
Also, congrats to Myron Reed and Killer Kelly. Whoop whoop.
Oh, do they have a something or other thing?
I think they're engaged and just had a kid together.
Hey, all right. Yeah. Yeah, good. Take that, Carmelo and Kalani. Think you're so cool with your engagement? We should have a double wedding, actually. Now we can do that because of the partnership.
And then it ends with this intergender tag team match. Bride and groom versus bride and groom.
Yeah. Spray paint still sucks. That's true. Killer Kelly was gone because she had a killer baby. Thank you, Liz.
Dude.
Anyway, danger zone on
dude,
Zach here.
If that delivery room, like all of a sudden their lights turned red when the baby came out, that'd have been fantastic.
Yes. Yeah, hit my baby's music.
Yeah, that's a way to make an entrance into the world, pal.
That's right. So after Dolph wins, then we get the NXT catch-up packet, where, if you missed the adventures of Tuesday last week, then here you get caught up. And then we get Frankie Kazarian in the ring for his new talk show segment, The King's Speech. And he brings out the big triple threat main event. First Joe Hendry, then Mike Santana, then Trick Williams, and then everyone gets their turn on the microphone. Once again, I thought Trick was really strong here. I've really enjoyed his. He's definitely stepped up his swagger in recent weeks. Um,
It definitely feels like he's recognizing, like, hey, you're the guy we're choosing to be the first guy to like do a cross promotional world title switch. Here's the ball, run with it. Oh, I'm gonna run with it.
and so yeah, so everybody kind of gets the turn. They pass the microphone around. It comes back to Trick. Trick sort of closes it and he acts like he's gonna leave. And then Frankie's talking to the other two guys, and then Trick turns around and hits them both, and then they just kick the shit out of Mike Santana and Joe Hendry, and that's it. End of show. It wasn't nothing spectacular. They just basically they got punched and stomped out. No big pro wrestling. I'm gonna put you through a table, or no big, anything. It was just Frankie and Trick just punched him out and stomped him and left him, and that's how we go off the air. I wonder if there's going to be a tag match next week or something.
Playa?
Yep.
Oh, shit, that's another news thing. The passing of Teddy Long's son.
Oh, really? I didn't hear about this.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't read the actual cause. I just read that it happened, and yeah, that's a terrible thing for any father to have to go through.
Oh man, yeah, I'm very sorry to hear that. Well, that is on that note, and sadly on that note, but that is a wrap for the TNA episode. Some good things here. I mean, they toned down some of the crap. There was too many pull aparts. Not one of them was from Papa John's, but we got a nice chain match. We got a nice package for Leon Slater. We got a nice Trick promo. If you like Dolph Ziggler matches, like Sonic the Hedgehog might, you got one of those. So, kind of a nice episode, but on the other hand, no Moose.
Where's the Moose? Where's the Moose? Like, give me that old lady. Like, where's the beef? Where's the Moose?
Right. I mean, whenever Moose isn't on screen, I think everybody should be saying, "Where's Moose?
Where's Moose?" Right. He should be TNA's Poochie.
Yeah,
in all the best ways. Not like
did he go back to his home planet or something? Why isn't he here? I don't appreciate this. So, yeah, no Moose.
Yeah, and we still somehow got 8 belts on the show because of the JC Jane and the NXT Women's title.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, there you go. That's it. That's what we have. There's Slammiversary's coming up. Is it this weekend? Or is it the week after?
No, I think it's the either the 20th or the 27th of this month. I'm not 100% sure. I'll have to go back.
Oh, good.
Let me go check. Let me check right now.
Wait, is this weekend the big triple extravaganza of Evolution and all that we were talking about?
Yeah, this weekend it's Saturday. We have All In the afternoon, running head to head with NXT Great American Bash. And that night is Saturday night's main event, and then Sunday is Evolution.
God, why are they such dicks?
I don't get it.
Why did WWE have to run a Great American Bash right then? They didn't have to do that. Just let AEW have their damn show. Man. Well.
Yeah, so Slammiversary is on the 20th, which is a week from this Sunday.
Okay.
Which, from what I understand, that weekend is a pretty empty weekend, which means that good for them. They get the spotlight.
Yeah, good for them. All right, well, good for them, good for us, and I believe with that, we can let you guys go back about your evening. Maybe a little bit of Raw watch along finishing? I mean, what do you think? What do you think? Is that going to happen?
Yes, sir. I got the already got the thing actually ready to go. Actually made it a little bit scheduled a little bit too early.
Ooh.
Scheduled for 11:15 Eastern. It's probably going to be in 10:45 Eastern.
Hey, well, no problem. I'm sure nobody will mind. Um, but yeah, so let's uh let's get them on. Let's get them on out of here. You are all free now. Brandon, tell the people where they can find you. Besides, right back to watching Raw after this.
As always, you can catch me on Twitter, or as the kids call it these days, the X, at LG Brandon Whoop. I'm also on Twitch at twitch.tv/LG Brandon Whoop Whoop. And tomorrow night, we're going to be doing the late start NXT watch along as soon as the A show goes off the air, usually around 8:45 Eastern, 7:45 Central. And then Wednesday, we got the AEW Dynamite watch along and belt count, of course, followed up with a guaranteed Wednesday night Twitch stream. And then Thursday, we're going to be doing the TNA watch along. And of course, since they're doing it on YouTube, we're watching it on YouTube because why not? It's free. And then, of course, Friday, we got the Friday watch along, or Friday night SmackDown watch along and belt count. Saturday, since nothing's going on, we're going to be doing, actually, I'm sorry, this Saturday. Sorry, I'm right thinking of next week. My apologies. This Saturday will be the, I won't be doing anything, but RBV will be hosting the SNME watch along. I might pop in for that. And then Sunday, we'll be doing a late start, potentially all in replay watch along, which I'll be doing my apps. I have to, this weekend's going to be rough for me, so I do my best to try to avoid the all in spoilers.
Mm.
Yeah, I got to make it through Saturday and Sunday to Sunday night to do that.
Well, it's possible.
I've already planned okay, I'm going to social media. Okay, what do I want to mute? All right, nothing with nothing AEW, all in Texas. Yeah, okay, I don't want to hear nothing about that. Yeah, mute anything with that.
That's a way to do it. I've given up trying to avoid spoilers, but nonetheless, you can find me avoiding spoilers at Opinion Haver on all your favorite social media platforms. You can definitely check me out every Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern for the Next Level Wrestling Review with Big Ray Hernandez, where we talk about NXT portion of this historic crossover. You can catch me every Sunday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on Wreckage, except when you could catch me on a Monday like you could today. Earlier today with Jimmy T and I went live for the Wreckage into a doubleheader, the Monday Locker Room, even to the point that Ben Hameen showed up on the Wreckage to talk a couple matches from Collision that he was very impressed with. So nice fun run in there. Check out Wrestling with Rip Rogers. This is where we learned the stuff. This is the guy. You won't be able to catch it this week, but if you haven't gone to the channel, subscribed, liked, all that other stuff, now would be a good time to do it, just in case you've always forgotten. Every time I've reminded you, you can do that. Wrestling with Rogers live on their concrete time of 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern on Fridays. You can always chime in and ask a question. Rip just might answer it. It may not be the answer you want, but it's the answer you get. And you can always check out Stevie Richards every Friday. He's got a new show every Friday, a new episode. He just celebrated a milestone. I believe it's like the 1-year anniversary of the Stevie Richards show. Damn, the time flies. I can't believe it's already been a year. Feels like it's only been a couple months. You about to say something?
Oh, no, sorry.
Oh, okay. So, yes, congratulations to Stevie on a year, and Stevie and James, and they're talking about more of Stevie Night Heat, which is a fascinating story. And it's funny because I remember when I first joined up with HMG, and the way I would explain things, the way I would tell things, I could tell that some of the people were a little bit like resistant. Like they didn't understand what I was saying. They didn't quite believe the stories I was telling or the mindsets of people. And it's really nice to be, sort of backed up, vindicated, uh, by guys like Stevie telling these stories that are like he's explaining the things I was trying to explain. Because people would say like, "Oh, well, why would anybody ever do that?" And Stevie's out here explaining like, "Yeah, why would anybody ever do that? These are the things they did." Stuff. The idea of like him running his own angles and stuff on Sunday Night Heat because nobody's paying attention, and then the first time somebody pays attention, they pull him off TV, then they bring him back and have him do the exact same thing later and act like it was their idea. Except they take out all the fun stuff he was doing. That's just a microcosm of the entire wrestling business, or at least the WWE or the Vince McMahon version of WWE. So that's why everything sucked for so long for a certain period of time the past 20 years. But anyways, let him tell you. Let Stevie Richards tell you every Friday with a new episode. And check out Timmy Baltimore too. Limpin' Ain't Easy every Wednesday, new episode, except this past Wednesday when there was no new episode. But I guess, holiday weekends and holiday weeks and other things and who knows and whatever. But I'm sure he'll be back soon. So there you go. That's everybody. And that's it for us. And for Brandon, I'm the vet and I don't have a sign off line.